Hello there. This story takes place quite a few years ago. I never really thought that I would have to write it out, but it seems that a lot of time has passed, and I've had a lot of questions from you guys. So I'm going to tell you everything that I can remember, and everything that led up to this moment. For a little bit of background information myself, I was 27 years old at the time. I lived by myself, and I didn't really have a lot of friends. I wouldn't say that I'm very lonely, just never was one to go out with a group of people. I often would find myself at home playing video games with friends online, or getting on VR chat, and watching movies with a few friends that way. If you guys are not familiar with VR chat, it's essentially a video game, where you have an avatar that there's other people who also have avatars, and you can all be in the same room. There's some lobbies where it's even like a movie theater, and we would just enjoy each other's time there. And that's when I met this girl, who went by the name of Spicy Tuna. I would come to understand that her name was actually Zoe. Now, Zoe was not too much younger than myself. She said that she was 25 years old and had just finished college. When I met her at the time, she said she was having trouble finding work in her field of interest. So, to relieve stress, she would come on VR chat and spend a couple hours a day there. I actually came to really enjoy my time with Zoe, and we formed a very close and deep relationship with one another. After a while, Zoe became very trusting of me, and shared something personal. Zoe said that she hosted a site on the deep web. She didn't really go into full detail, just telling me that it was a site where she would have things for sale, and where people could come to order certain things. I really had no clue what the hell the deep web was, but it seemed pretty interesting. She would tell me that it was some sort of internet that wasn't really accessible to common people, and that there was ways to use it that required certain softwares. I'm not very tech savvy, so when I decided to use the deep web for myself, I had to use TeamSpeak with Zoe, and she helped me set everything up. At first everything was kind of okay. It just seemed like a really old version of the internet. The websites that we came across were just filled with text and forums. Nothing too interesting. And at this point, I'd already gone on YouTube and looked at the deep web videos. And from what I could tell, it looked like the deep web was filled with things of horror and unimaginable videos and pictures. And also that people used it to sell drugs. I asked Zoe if she could show me her site, so that I could see it for myself. But again, she said no, that she was embarrassed by it actually, and that she got on it back in the day when she was a lot younger as a hobby. And at first she was just a moderator on it, but after her friend had passed away, she decided to take over the site. So I decided to respect her privacy and carry on about my day. Now, a few days had passed and I didn't really think anything of it at this point. We continued to play VR chat with one another, and some other friends that we had together. But things started to become very interesting when Zoe stopped taking my calls on Discord, and became very distant. I actually enjoyed my talks with her so much that it felt like I had lost a loved one, or that she was just mad at me for whatever reason. I had her personal phone number at this time too. I would text and call her, not to a point where it was creepy, but just to check up on her and see if she was okay, or if I had made her upset. I never really got a response, only the notification that the message was seen or read. I figured Zoe must have gotten a boyfriend that was jealous or something, in the interest in her, and started to fade away. I still had all the softwares on my computer that she installed, and one night out of curiosity, I went back onto the deep web and looked under her username from VR chat, Spicy Tuna. I must have spent a good 6 hours in there that night, looking through forums and lots of backlog, things from the internet that just seemed really boring. Occasionally I would come across a site that offered to sell drugs or pictures of fetish porn. But after going through what felt like a giant rabbit hole, I came across a site that had the years of conversations between the user, Spicy Tuna, and others. Using context clues from the times I've spoken with Zoe, and the texts that we've sent to each other, the writing styles of this Spicy Tuna seemed to match Zoe's. The conversations with the other people on the forums seemed pretty innocent, until I actually clicked on the discussion boards that they led into. They would talk of things like getting people's personal identification, and different ways to do so. It appeared they, more often than not, would go on video games and befriend people. They were even going into extreme detail in ways to do so. A lot of them reminded me of the conversations me and Zoe had. Even the backstories that Zoe gave me of her childhood. Everything just started to click. I had determined that this was in fact Zoe. This had to be her website. I'm not sure why she even told me about it in the first place. But then all of a sudden I got a text message. Now this was from an unknown number, and the text message reads as follows.
I didn't think you would find it. In fact, I kind of liked you. You're different than the others. I'll give you one more chance to stop now.
I looked at my phone for a moment, and I remembered thinking, what the hell? Who is this? I decided to respond to the text message. I'm not sure who you think this is, but I think you might have the wrong number. I waited for a while staring at my phone, not really sure what to do. I have this sinking feeling in my stomach that it's kind of hard to describe. The only way I could really explain it was just fear. And again, my phone lit up in the dark, illuminating my room and bringing me back to the reality. It said,
You know, you really shouldn't be so trusting of the people online that you don't know. You live by yourself, and I know that your family doesn't even check in on you. It would be really easy to finish what I started.
I wasn't even looking at my computer at this point, just staring at my phone, not sure what to respond. When I did actually decide to look back at my computer, I noticed something very, very disturbing. My web browser had tabs and tabs opened, each one showing Google Maps Street View of my address. My public Facebook was open there as well, with an imager link with screenshots of my computer of different dates and times I was using it. Now this was starting to freak the shit out of me. I decided to immediately unplug my computer, and for good measure, I also unplugged my router and my modem. That's when my phone lit up once more.
You know, you really shouldn't have done that. You know I know where you live. I might just have to come over there and give you a hand with your internet.
Now at this point I decided to just turn off my phone. I don't live in the fanciest house. In fact, it's actually a double wide trailer, and my closest neighbor was a good half mile away from myself. Now the town I live in is not super large. In fact, we don't even have a police station here. Whenever an emergency happens, officers from surrounding towns that were in close enough proximity would show up. I didn't really feel like the text messages I received warranted a police call at this point, and I tried to downplay the situation to myself, using incognito mode on my phone just to be safe. I browsed the internet for similar situations. A lot of them seemed to be just pranks of some news articles. I never found anything reliable, saying that it was true or not. I did have some guns, so I didn't feel like if someone were to come to my house, I wouldn't be in any immediate danger, and then I could just protect myself. I sat there in my bed for a very long time, not sure what to do. Eventually, I must have passed out because the next thing I remember was waking up in my bed. It was already almost time for me to head to work, and my internet was still turned off. My computer sat there with a blank screen. I went about my morning making my breakfast real quick, locking all the doors and heading out to work. For personal reasons, I won't say exactly where I work, because it's a pretty large company. But I will say that during my day at work, all I could think about was the night prior. I didn't get any more text messages during this time, and when it was my time to leave for work, I was a bit nervous to head back home. I'm not sure why, but I've always had this weird sixth sense feeling. I know when something is not right, and on my way home I decided to take a different route. That was a little bit out of the way to get back there. I'm not sure if you can call it paranoia, but I didn't really want to leave anything to chance either. Now my neighbors, I know each and every single one of them. Like I said, I don't have many. I know the vehicles they drive. Hell, I even know the schedules they have when they get off of work, or when their children come home from school. I know that last bit sounds kind of creepy, but that's just small town living for you. Something that really stuck out to me was the vehicle I'd passed on my way home. It was a dark green Ford Explorer, and appeared to be an earlier 2000s model. And the windows were extremely tinted, almost limo tinted if you will. I've never seen this vehicle before, and when it passed, I looked in my mirror and I saw the brake lights illuminate. I kept driving, but I saw it come to a stop in the middle of the road. Now, it could have just been someone that was lost, or maybe they're looking at their phone for the GPS. But still, it was a bit nerve-wracking to say the least. Finally, I got home, and the first thing that immediately caught my attention was that my door that was locked originally was unlocked now. And I knew for a fact that I had locked the door. The lock itself didn't seem to be tampered with. When I went to look under my rug where I kept my spare key, it was missing. I know it's dumb of me to keep a key under there, that everybody knows to check, but I live in a very remote part, and I had lost my keys to my house before. I must have placed that key underneath that rug close to 2 years prior, and I'd only used it a handful of times, so I really didn't think about it. Then, quietly as I could, I opened my door and looked around my house. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Things around my living room thrown, glass broken, things shattered. Years of hard work gone now. At this point, I decided to just call the police. I told them where I was and that someone had broken into my house. The dispatcher told me to wait on the phone and get to a safe area as soon as I could. I told the lady on the phone sure thing, but out of curiosity I had to see the rest of my home. I walked around in disbelief as I picked up things here and there. When I went to my bedroom in the back, everything was tossed around. My bed flipped up on its side, but the only thing that wasn't destroyed was my computer. It was just there on my desk, untouched by anything. It was turned on, my modem and router also plugged on behind it. That's when I went back on my computer. It was blanked out, and it was only going to the BIOS settings. I really couldn't figure out what had happened. Now, like I said before, I'm not very tech savvy, but I'm also not an idiot. I opened my computer only to discover that the hard drives were missing. Now at this point, I did in fact decide to just go to my car and wait patiently, and eventually the police did arrive. I told them about the situation and about the website that I had found, and they had no clue about what the hell I was talking about. Although I had to do a written statement, even sending them the text messages that I've received. Unfortunately, the phone number they were linked to wasn't traceable. Shortly after this, I decided to sell my home and move back in with my parents, who are in their late 70s by this point. It's embarrassing to say, but I felt like my own safety and privacy had been violated. Nothing ever came up with a police report. Not that they really did any true investigating. Simply chalked it up to breaking and entering. But oddly enough, nothing was taken, aside from the hard drives from my computer. Like I said before, this was from a few years ago. I'm 32 years old now. I hardly have time for video games, and I have taken the time to research the deep web more. I haven't heard anything from Zoe or Spicy Tuna since. I know it could have ended a lot worse, and I'm very reluctant now on the information that I give to others online. Even the account I'm using right now is a throwaway one, so there would be no way to track it back to who I was. I just hope whoever is reading this will learn from my mistakes, and to never trust anybody online. It's okay to have friends, but if you really don't know someone, don't give them any information about yourself. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And obviously, I would like to thank all my Patreons and channel members. Without your guys' support, I wouldn't be able to do this. And real quickly, I would like to give a special thanks to my friend ARIES for being on the video today. She has something she would like to say as well.
Hey everyone, I'm ARIES. I have a YouTube channel where I narrate scary stories of pretty much every single topic. So if you're looking for new stories to spook you, go check out my channel. I'm sure it's going to be listed below. Hope to see you all there, and don't forget to subscribe to Jensen.